the Road to Tokyo series. We sit down with Xendurance pro athletes to talk shop on their road to the Olympics, what they do outside of training, and more.
Oh, damn, that's the first lap.
So you're getting killed at this point.
Yeah. This is like, I'm just trying to get top 8, get some prize money at this point.
That's what you were thinking?
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to waste my plane ticket. I need to at least come in 8 and get my prize money and go home.
So what are you thinking right now?
Right now, I'm still thinking I'm just trying to get 8th place. I was literally like, I'm just trying to get a little bit of money, and I'm trying to go home, not just too mad. I'd have been mad if I came like in 9th.
How are you feeling your body-wise right now?
Feeling good. I was going off Clayton, actually. But when I saw that 48.2 that they went out in, I could tell, because the clock stops at 400 meters, so you know what pace they went out in.
Yeah.
So I was probably like a second behind them, so I went in 49. Turns out I was like 2 seconds behind them. But I knew they'd die a little bit.
So at this point, were you like...
This point, I'm like, I got 3rd. I'm way happier than I thought I was going to get. At this point, I'm psyched. I was like, 3rd place, Diamond League final, prize money. This guy's like, shoot, Emmanuel died, sweet. And then right here is like, okay, if I dig, I can get him.
You just kicked it in right there.
Yeah. With 50 meters left, that's when I knew I was going to win. And then I had a nice little hop at the end. I like the little hop. I felt a little better than almost in that race.
That is so impressive, dude.
That was the most fun race I ever had in my life.
I would hope so.
That was the most fun. No, and that was a fast track, too. But I was debating on even running that race, actually.
Or you're just a fast runner.
Yeah, my Achilles was messed up like the night before. And I was just making all these excuses like I usually do before like a big race about what hurts. And I'm just complaining about every little ache and pain. But my coach is like, you're fine. You do this literally before every big competition. So I was, in the back of my mind, I was like, am I going to race today or am I not going to race today? But I'm happy I did.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, we're sitting here today with Donavan Brazier. I'm Jason St. Clair, one of the owners here at Xendurance, also joined by
Andrew Negebauer,
who's another one of our owners. And we have the honor to talk with Donavan today, junior American record holder and now also the American record holder in the 800-meter. We actually just relived that race, which to me is super impressive because it's not a runner. And you talked us through a little bit how you felt and how you're thinking mentally through that. Let's relive that one more time. You said in the first lap.
Well, for anybody listening too, if you want to watch it, go to YouTube and type in Donavan Brazier turns on afterburners. Or if you just type in Donavan Brazier on YouTube, that'll be one of the races that pops up right away.
It didn't even look real at the end. But you talked about the first lap where you're just like, I'm hoping to just, you don't want to waste a plane ticket.
I'm just trying to get some prize money at this point. The plane ticket was $3,000 because I got to go first class over there because my legs aren't going to take it. So I was thinking 8th place is $3,000. If I get 8th place, the trip will pay for itself. And then I got a whole month leading up to Doha at that point. But with a lap to go, I was like, if I get 8th, I won't cry. I'll still be mad about getting 8th, but I won't be terribly upset.
So you see the pace at, what was it, first lap?
48.2.
48.2.
So Haroon and Nigel Amos. So Haroon and Nigel are teammates, actually. So, leading up to the meet, there was kind of this sense that they were going to go out really hot, but we'd ask them about it, and they wouldn't ever give us a straight answer. They're like, hey, it might be fast. We don't really know. And, we know they're, boys, so we know that they have something schemed up.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't give us a straight answer. What's the pace? What are we doing today, guys? Because everybody kind of wants to know. And Nigel just, wouldn't tell us. He's like, we're just going to go out, and we're just going to try to run fast. It's like, okay, do what you want to do. And I didn't think 48 was his plan, and, yeah.
So for people that are listening, what is 48 pace? Obviously, to me, it's extremely fast. That's beyond my sprint. But what does that mean for you at a pace? When you saw that 48 in that first lap, what were you thinking? We went out too hot?
Yeah, and I know Nigel's more speed oriented, which means that he's gonna always have a faster first lap than second lap, 95% of 800-meter runners.
Yeah.
But 48's too fast for anybody. The world record was set in 140. And David Rudisha went out in 49, I think mid to low.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you kind of want to have that 1.5 second differential between the first and second lap. And I knew Nigel's differential between the two laps wasn't going to be 1.5 seconds.
Right.
I knew he wasn't in sub 140 shape or sub 100 second shape.
So you're in the back just hoping that you made worthwhile this plane ticket. And what was it? Probably a lap and a half where you noticed where these guys are probably dying a little bit.
Yeah, so with 300 meters left, that's when I was like, okay, I need to start moving now. Because I knew my coach, Pete Julian, we always have a plan going into races, and this was like the first time all year that I didn't listen to what he said. He's like, you need to be in third position. He's like, I don't care what the pace is. It can be 55, it could be 48. You need to be in third place. I was like, yes, sir. Okay, coach, I'll do what you said. And just completely threw out the plan. Like, we didn't do that at all. I came out in like 9th place or something with a bell lap. And so I knew he was going to be pissed. So, I mean, I never thought so much in a race in my entire life because I was just relaxing that first 400 meters at like 50 point with Clayton and I in the back. And I think with 300 meters left, that's when I knew I had a real shot at getting in a top 5 position because I knew that 48 wasn't going to be feeling good for anybody. And there was a good 4 or 5 guys that went out in 48. Right. And that's not like a comfortable pace for any 800-meter runner.
So about 100 meters looked like left. You got in about 3rd place, right? Mm-hmm. And then you slowly crept up on 2nd place. Mm-hmm. And then there seemed like there's distance between 2nd place and 1st place, and you just like it was like Nintendo or something. You just kicked into this gear that just blew by them. Mm-hmm. Where do you get that extra gear?
Well, with 300 meters left, like we talked about, like I was just winding up, and like when you catch one person, like when you catch somebody, you just get more like energy, you get more strength, you get more speed behind you. So I passed one person, so I'm feeling good. And then I passed 2 people, I'm feeling even better. Then I passed a group of 3, and you just feel on top of the world at that point. You're like, I got the most momentum in this entire race. So with 100 meters left, when I got to that 3rd position, and I was able to catch Nigel with about like 20 meters left. I kind of just got him a little bit before the end of the line. But that race made me look way better than I actually am. Because, yes, I finished hard, but that was a mixture of me finishing hard and Nigel dying a lot. And I think track athletes are the ones that they realize that. But it looked good for the camera, so I wasn't upset.
Well, that was super impressive.
It looked amazing.
So your personal best before that was 142.7?
140. So I ran 142.7 in that race, and my personal best before that was set 3 years ago in college when I ran for Texas A&M at NCAA's. I went 143.55.
Wow.
So I had that PR for like 3 years, so I was really trying to PR that race.
Well, okay, let's take this back to the beginning now. All right, so you're from Michigan, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What part of Michigan?
From Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Grand Rapids. I actually did a minor league stint in Battle Creek, Michigan. So
Battle Creek.
Yeah, I went to Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids.
Okay, Western.
Yeah,
Michigan, yep.
That's where Kellogg's is. So Andrew, Kellogg's cereal. So it literally smelled like cereal every day. But those are my memories of Michigan. Although it was cold and in the summer it was hot and humid. But so you're from Michigan. Mm-hmm. When did you start running?
I started running in like 4th grade actually.
Really?
But like I just did kind of like what every 4th grader does. Like kind of do like that mile run. Yeah. And I was always naturally just faster than everybody else. Like 4th graders don't train for track and field. It's all just natural ability. But I didn't get serious about it I think until high school. Because I was having a hard time making my high school 4x8 teams. Like I wasn't necessarily good whatsoever. Right. And I grew up always thinking I was going to be a professional football player. And I still think that somewhat, but we can talk about that later. But I grew up believing that I was going to be a professional football player. But I was just a late bloomer. Like, I swear I didn't hit puberty till I was like 15. Like, I was just a late bloomer. I was like 5'5", 95 pounds, and, no high school team's going to be putting me in as wide receiver or running back unless they want me to kill myself. Like, it wasn't the place for me. So I did what anybody else would do, and I joined the cross-country team where I fit in with everybody else, like all those skinny dudes and stuff like that.
Right.
So I joined cross-country, and I was terrible at it. Like, it wasn't fun. I was terrible at it. But I was like, at least I'm not getting hurt, Yeah. And the guys on the cross-country team are, like, characters. You know what I mean? They're different. They're not like the football guys. They just have a different kind of, I don't know, way about them. But
we always say, too, like, as you go up in distance, you get more eccentric.
Yeah. I did.
Like the sprinters, and you get, like, these higher distances, the athletes start to get a little, I don't want to say weird, but more,
No, it definitely is.
You got mustaches and mullets and things like that.
Yeah, the mullets is a new thing. That's Craig. But I noticed there was definitely a big difference between running track and running cross country.
Totally.
And being a middle distance runner, you don't really fit in between. You don't really fit in with either of them. I think we kind of have our own thing. But no, I ran cross country for all 4 years of high school. Didn't even make varsity my first year. They had to pull out a JV jersey from the 90s because they didn't have enough jerseys for the athletes. So they gave me this 1990s. Went to Kennel Hills in Grand Rapids, Michigan. 1990s Kennel Hills jersey, and it just looked all old and had yellow. It looked like it had pea stains on it. So it was just an old jersey. And I was just the last guy on the team. So me and this other kid, there was 2 of us that had to wear these just old nasty jerseys for all the races.
That's awesome. So I mean, for any kid out there listening, that's a great point. Is you never know. so don't give up. Obviously,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Donavan Brazier, you know, one of the best in the world, well, the best in the world, started off his career and he had a pea-stained jersey
It was
that he had to
disgusting.
wear.
Did you play football though?
I
curious now.
So I played football for Kendall Hills my freshman year of high school, and in middle school I was on what they call kick return suicide squad, and that's where you put the people that they don't mind if they get hurt or not.
Yeah.
So that was always my position with suicide squad. So punt return and kick return. So I never scored like in ninth grade. Like I played ninth grade, but then like when I went to practice for my 10th, like in 10th grade, I got there and I was just like, this isn't for me. Like the guys are so big. I'm nervous at practice.
Yeah.
It's bad when you show up to practice and you're nervous to get hit.
Yeah, by your own teammates.
Yeah, by my own teammates that are like 200 pounds and I'm still 95 pounds. I didn't break 100 till my sophomore year. So it wasn't for me.
So you play a little football, cross country, and then obviously track in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And did you always do mid-distance or did you?
Yeah, ever since middle school I did mid-distance actually. I've never not done the 800 meters.
Like in high school, when did you turn the corner then to start, you know, you're pretty skinny, you weren't even 100 pounds and for a while. Like when did you turn the corner to where you were like?
I turned the corner probably like my sophomore year of high school because we had this guy on our team, Jeff Bejima, and I still know Jeff to this day. I'm good friends with him. But Jeff Bejima was our first like good runner coming out of high school, and he got a scholarship for track and field. So he was a smart guy, but he got a scholarship for track and field, and he didn't have to pay for college. So I just put it through my brain. I was like, I'm not the smartest dude in the world. Like I had like a 2.5 in high school. Like I wasn't a genius by any sense.
Right.
So I was like, my only chance I have to make it in college is if I run fast enough, and people could start like pulling strings for me and the athletes. So I started getting serious about it my sophomore year. And towards the end of the year, I started like just kind of building a lot of momentum, like winning races, and I got runner-up at states, and that was like a big deal to me.
Your sophomore year?
My sophomore year, I got runner-up at states.
That's impressive.
Wow,
so I went because I was running 208 my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
And then I went 154 my sophomore year of high school.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I think that's when I hit puberty. I think that's what it was. Yeah. So.
I was to say, did you hit a growth spurt or?
Because I went from like 5'4" to like 5, probably 5'10".
Yeah.
You know, in like one summer. So.
And how tall are you now?
6'2" on a good day. Yeah.
Dang.
With my spikes on.
Yeah, exactly.
So you made a huge jump, and then you're runner-up, and then it was all downhill from there?
Yeah, it was it was terrible. But no, ever since then, like after my sophomore year of high school, that senior race, I didn't lose a high school race for the rest of my time, actually. So that was like a big, like I was really happy about that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you were just undefeated?
Yeah, I was undefeated in high school for my junior and senior year.
That's awesome.
And
in Michigan too. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Actually, let me rephrase that. For outdoors, I raced Grant Fisher. He's a Nike guy now. He runs for Bowerman. I raced Grant Fisher my senior year, and he beat me in the mile. He went like 4:05 or something like that. So that's my loss. Let me rephrase that. I did lose one time indoor race to Grant Fisher, which isn't a bad guy to lose to.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm always curious how you guys become specialized in one event. So, like, how did you pick the 800? Because I feel like if you're that fast, well, I take that back. In theory, you feel like if you're that fast at the 800, you're probably really good at the 400 too. But maybe you're that guy that takes a minute to wind up and maybe that last lap.
I feel like it's all about what your high school needs or whatever you start at. It's all about what they need, and it's not really personalized around you. So my high school they needed everything. So they needed 400-meter runners, they needed 200-meter runners, they needed milers, 2-milers, cross-country guys. So they just kind of threw in everything. So I can't say that I was just a pure 800-meter runner. Like, I'd dip down into the 4, and I'd go up to the 5K for cross-country. But, I always found, like, I got my stride in the 800 meters, and that was what I was best at. But that didn't mean I wasn't running 200s or 400s or 4x8s or 4x4s.
Got it. What about actually loving an event? What event have you always... Do you love the 800?
You know what event I loved? I actually loved cross-country, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, because cross-country seems more rewarding. You know, if you go to a meet and there's 200 athletes, and you come first out of 200 athletes, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Right. You get a nice little medal for every meet, and, you know, it's not participation trophies, but you actually get a medal.
Right.
And you show up and you beat 199 guys. That sounds a lot cooler than when you show up to a track meet and you beat 7 other guys, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I always like cross country a little more.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Do you like the cross country style training? Like, is that hard for you? Like in the fall, like to do the more work?
At this level, it definitely is. At this level, I couldn't do it. You know, I think I PR'd in high school at 15:25, and now all the girls that are in this group that we have out here have beaten it. So it's not impressive at all.
So walk us through the process of, you know, you kind of started blooming at sophomore year, right? And then how did college come about, like recruiting? Like when did people start noticing you for that? And how did you pick? You went to Texas, right?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Yep. So how'd that process work for you?
So my junior year, that's when I was like, cool, I'm going to get a scholarship somewhere. And my first offer that I got from my first visit was at Central Michigan University. It was about an hour and a half drive. Yeah. And my high school coach, Russ Gerbers at the time, was like, you're not going to Central Michigan. And I was like, why? They said they couldn't officially tell me, but they're like, we'll give you a full-ride scholarship. Yeah. This will get paid for. It'd be close to home. I was like, awesome, sweet deal. I'll get to run track and field at a university, D1, hour and a half away, close to family. And he's like, they're just not a good group. They're just not a good team. And I think that shows that he saw the potential in me before, like, even I did. Because I'm so happy I didn't go to Central Michigan now. But I looked at 5 schools. I looked at Wisconsin, I looked at Michigan, I looked at USC, LSU, and Texas A&M. And 4 of those schools actually like sent me letters and came to my house. And Texas A&M was the only school that didn't offer me anything or didn't come to my house. Like I had to email them and was like, hey, I'd really love to come to you guys' school. Like I see you guys have a good track program. So they can't ever say that they found me or they claimed me. Like I did all the recruiting myself. Like they got me an official visit and they got me a scholarship. Right. So I thank them for that. But I did all the hard work leading up to that.
So how did you pick Texas A&M?
Just warm, same reason you guys are in Phoenix, it's just a warm, nice place to train, and being in Michigan for 18 winters, it's bad. It's like I survived 18 winters. It's bad.
So you went to Texas A&M for a very short stint. People listening may not understand this, but, you're a 22-year-old phenom, obviously, and people recognize that after your first year at Texas A&M. So tell us a little bit about how that kind of evolved, and you're a Nike runner now, and obviously professional. So how did you get to your first year of Texas to being a professional?
Yeah, so at Texas A&M, I didn't know being a professional runner was even a thing, actually. And I really didn't.
This is the best way to go about it.
I never knew it was a thing. I think ignorance is bliss in that sense.
Absolutely.
Like I never knew that being a professional runner could possibly be a thing. So I was just like, sweet, I got my scholarship. I got everything I could possibly want in the track and field at this point. So I got my scholarship. I get free education. I get to go live in someplace warm, so I'm loving it. And then I ran a decent indoor season, good outdoor season, and Nike comes up with an offer. And, I took it. I was like, it just came out so quick because I went from running high school track and winning state championships to winning an NCAA title to trying to compete for a spot on the Olympic team. So for me, everything was just so new to me that I think that worked in my favor.
Right. And for those listening, that doesn't really happen that often for someone to come out after their first year. Mm-hmm. So in track, traditionally they come out after their senior year, right?
Yeah, they go 4 years and they come out.
It's definitely gotten more common, though, in the past. You've seen it with, like, Sidney McLaughlin and Sammy Watson and stuff like that.
True.
But I think
after 1 year, though?
After 1 year. Sammy went after 1 year.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Sidney was a junior, though, right?
Cindy went after 1 year, too, at Kentucky.
That's true. Yeah.
But those kind of athletes, I think they knew kind of somewhat that they were going to turn professional.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of the difference there.
Right. Because, like, in basketball, it's 4 years. Football is 4 years.
Yeah.
Baseball is actually
3 years.
You have to be a junior.
Yeah. You have to be like 21 or something.
21 or a junior. Yeah. So it's cool to see. You're obviously special to come out after 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. Shakara Richardson. That's another one that just went one and done.
Right.
LSU girl.
So a lot of times in traditional sports, like imagine going from college to the NFL. It's like boys against men, right? So how is the transition from college to being a professional?
It's very hard. I think when you're running all those years from middle school to college, you have like this team-oriented vibe around what you're doing. Yeah. So everything you do, there's always going to be a greater purpose for your running. And when you start running professional, you start to lose that purpose, and you start realizing, like, I'm not running any 4x4s. I'm not collecting points. Like, everything I'm doing is just on me.
Right.
And it kind of gets lonely at times when you go from traveling with a team and enjoying, like, team dinners and team lunches together and doing everything you can as a team to going and just traveling to these meets by yourself, to warming up by yourself, to racing and just doing everything by yourself. So it was hard for me these first couple of years, but I'm starting to kind of fear the ropes a little bit, and joining a group out in Oregon helped a lot with that.
Yeah. What's the group you're a part of in Oregon?
I was part of Nike Oregon Project.
Awesome.
Yeah. What was currently known as Nike Oregon Project.
Do you guys have a new name for that now?
Not yet. No? We're just kind of like this no-name group. We still have all of our resources and stuff like that. Thankful for Nike backing us up with that. But we're just a no-name group for now.
Yeah. Wanted to ask you about, you mentioned that the Oregon Project's name, right now you're just kind of like nameless, but what happened? What led to that?
Yeah, so definitely the suspension of Alberto for his allegations and things that he did back in 2015. what led to the whole dropping of Oregon Project and Nike. And it was good of Nike because Nike was facing a lot of pressure to, from Oregon Project and from people that didn't like Oregon Project to completely ban the group or, rename the group or whatever they want to call it. But there's no more Oregon Project.
Why didn't people like Oregon Project?
Because of that stigma that came up with Oregon Project, of the whole 2015 allegations that came up in 2016 trials with Alberto using I think there was like a gray area, and Alberto was stepping on that line of gray area things to do. And I was I was a senior in high school at the time when these allegations were coming out, so I'm still not even 100% knowledgeable in the things or the allegations that came out against Alberto. But what I did know about Oregon Project is that it was just, it's a badass group. It's Oregon Project, high school runners, they all loved them. Like, I had more track fans in high school than I was more track fan. Like, I didn't know much about it, but my teammates and stuff knew about Oregon Project. They knew about the Galen Ruffs, the Jordan Says, the Mary Canes at the time because they were, like, the same age. And, it's a group that, at the end of the day, their mission statement is to bring home world medals to America, world and Olympic medals to America. And like I said, we don't get many of those in America. We don't get a lot of people bringing home world medals. That's why when you look back at the history of all the Hall of Famers and stuff like that for track and field, they're all these sprinters and stuff like that. So I think what Alberto was trying to do and what Alberto was trying to bring back to America really was something special. You know what I mean? And when I got the opportunity to call to join Oregon Project and be alongside the guys like Galen and Craig and Eric Jenkins, and there was a lot of new people coming in at this point, so kind of people are filtering through and filtering out. I was excited because I think when you're around athletes that have that kind of credentials that they have, as an athlete and as a competitor, I stand a little bit taller, knowing that these guys like Mofar and Jordan Nasei and just all these really good athletes and Shannon Roberry and Suguru Osaka, I could go on and on with the list, but all these athletes have achieved all these things. It just kind of makes you stand a little bit taller and just a little more proud to rep that Oregon Project jersey, knowing the rich history behind it.
Right. So you're coached and currently coached by Pete Julian, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Alberto was never really your coach, correct?
Yeah, so I've never worked directly with Alberto for workouts or any sort of supplements or anything along those lines. But, he was the main coach of Oregon Project, so obviously I've seen him and I've talked to him and I've had conversations and interactions with him.
Right on. Do you feel like how everything's going down now, you're kind of in a good spot, like with the group and everything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're in a good spot with the transition that we're having to make with this name of this group that we have out here.
Right.
But to see where it goes, I don't know. I think it's gonna a lot depend on how these things go around these next Olympic cycles. But I think a lot of it's just going to be building because Oregon Project was built in like 2002, and people didn't start bringing home medals and doing great things until I think Mo came in 2011. So it takes time to build a big group, and Nike has our back, and Nike's always had our support, and I think they recognize that as much as we do too. But we're already starting off at a good point where we have, I've been a world medalist in Constance Klosterhalfen, Coco is a world medalist, and we have everybody on our team has potential to win a world medal. So I think we're at a good spot at this point.
Yeah, and just being there yesterday shooting and hanging out, like the energy in that group is just, it's amazing. And I think Pete and the whole crew, it's just, you guys really work well together, and it's fun to be around. It's a fun group.
It's fun, yeah. So that's, and back going when I said from leaving college, it was hard going from professional to just individual track athlete and not being around other guys. Yes, these guys that I'm training with and doing these workouts with are my competitors, but at the end of the day, I enjoy running more because of these guys rather than I would without them.
What about some of those athletes that were coached by Alberto? Like, does that affect them the same way it's affecting you? I mean, it looks like you guys are grouped into one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did it just change the landscape? They don't have a coach anymore, so...
Yeah, so everybody's kind of just branching out now, and I think word's out for pretty much everybody, and I found out the same way as everybody else did. But Clayton's over in Akron training with his coach, whether he's moved there, whether he's not. I don't 100% know. Galen Rupp's training with NAU's coach, I think, Mike something. I'm sorry, I don't know coach's name too much, but who else was there? Jordan Nasei's back in California. And yes, everybody's kind of just branched. Like the whole Alberto's team, for the most part, is kind of just all split up, kind of, and just kind of doing their own things at this point.
Got it.
Right on.
Nice. Did you ever look up to someone I know you want to be a football player. Maybe you had a football idol, but did you ever?
Muhammad Ali was my guy.
Really?
So yeah, I'm not a tough guy. I can't box. I'm not a fighter. I'm not gonna fight anybody. But Muhammad Ali was always just my guy, my athlete that I always looked up to, and really just a genuine person that I looked up to.
Yeah.
More so.
For both purposes, probably the way he.
Yeah, in the ring and outside the ring,
Yeah.
and 2016, he actually passed away like a week before. Like my breakout race, like leading up to 2016, and I always had this like hope that I was gonna meet him someday.
Yeah.
And my dad actually said that he was gonna try, if I possibly made the Olympics that year, he was gonna try to get Muhammad Ali on the phone. Like, and I know he has a hard time talking and stuff like that leading up to his death, but he was like, I was always gonna try to get him on the phone with you, or maybe if you made the Olympic team or did this, and that. So in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, if I achieve something, like maybe I can get that phone call from Muhammad Ali. But just things ended a little too soon.
Right.
So do you see yourself now in that role of inspiring people, like, because he was amazing at inspiring people? Do you recognize that now that you're kind of in that same position?
I just think that, because I think, so everything's just all about relevance, and it's just about how you're gonna make it. So obviously Muhammad Ali was inspiring many of, just not even just black people, but just all Americans and stuff like that, like millions and millions and millions of them. And it's just the way he acted, and it's the way that he presented himself, and the representation that he gave to the black community at the time. Yeah. So obviously I don't have that kind of platform that he has, but I don't think there's anything wrong with at least trying to do what you can with what platform you do. For me, what little platform I have to do compared to a guy like Muhammad Ali. Right. You know what I mean? So with track and field, I used to always be the kind of person that was like, no one really cares about track and field. No one really knows it. I mean, because I was the guy that was like, I didn't know about it. I didn't care. But I'm starting to realize that people do care. Some people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can, touch like 10 people, if that's all it is, then it's worth it.
Yep.
Even though you're not out here reaching millions and millions of people like Muhammad Ali, the guy I love, did, I just still like acting that way to the small group that I have.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because we have our marketing director, Michelle Janino, she has a relative who runs, a nephew who runs track, and he's just is like your biggest fanboy.
Really?
Yeah. So I think, she's like, we need to get photos with Donavan. Like, I need to send him stuff.
I was his fanboy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I walked up on you. My first indoor event in Albuquerque was at USA's.
Oh, yeah.
And I just remember watching you 2 days in a row race, and I was like, dude, that guy just like floats around that track. It was like so easy. You're just like la la la, and then just like last lap, you just like catch everyone, pass them. Like same race every time. But I remember just walking up to you and how nice you were, and I was like, man, that guy's special. Not just from the track, but like the way you presented yourself. So coming from an outsider, it has nothing to do with running or track. So just want to let you know that. Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that. No, thank you.
Love watching you run.
Yeah, and your stride, you almost it's so interesting to see how much ground you actually cover when you're at full tilt or full capacity. It's just amazing. We were talking about it the other day with the team, and we were just like, you kind of look like an avatar out there, and you're just you're just like rolling through, eating up track, and it's special.
I appreciate that, you guys. Thanks. Making me feel special.
So have you ever dealt with, obviously you're fast tracked to the pros, but dealt with any injuries yet? What did that look like for you? Yeah, so I was 1.5 year pro at this time. So my 2018 outdoor season came to a complete, not even stop. I didn't race 2018 outdoor season at all because I had a Achilles injury, and this was like leading up to Oregon Project and me joining that team, and I had a big transition there. But this was my first year ever that I've had to miss, let alone not just one meet, but a whole season. And you just really sit back while you're watching all these other people achieve things like Diamond League. It wasn't a world year, but they could achieve Diamond League titles and still U.S. titles and all these other things. And I was just on the couch at home not doing anything. Yeah. And it sucks seeing all these people achieve that. But I think something like that really brings you back and just humbles you and makes you realize, like, you do have to work for this. Like, a lot of things do come naturally. Yeah. And yes, a lot of people are talented, and I think I fall in that category, but it still comes to a point where you're going to have to get up and you're going to have to work hard. And I think that injury just helped me set back and just think, like, I do want this. This is a lifestyle that I chose. This is the event that I chose, and I want to be the best I possibly can at it. Yeah. And I think that injury just made me sit back and think, like, yeah, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. Right. Are there any things outside of like your actual training that you have to do to be a good runner? Do you do to help make yourself better?
Yeah, so I do a lot of lifting and stuff like that, and I don't even know the whole science behind it. So I take my Xendurance proteins and my Xendurance like vitamins and stuff like that, but my coach is the one that recommends it to me. You know what I mean? He's the scientific guy. His wife's like a scientist or something. I don't even know, but I take it, and it helps with my recovery and stuff like that. So I do a lot with the proteins just these past couple of years and supplements, but just also weight training and strength training, and not really too much watching on my diet. Just kind of eat more simple food, just like the chickens and the rice and stuff like that. I don't eat extremely healthy or extremely unhealthy, either way or the other.
Do you guys have a nutritionist?
No, we don't actually.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people actually ask about that, but we just don't. I think it kind of just rubs off on each other when we're at camp. So like, because I'm roomed with Eric, and Eric's a really healthy guy. Yeah. So I just kind of take his eating habits and just like match what he does, because he's pretty good with it.
Yeah. What about from the mental side? I mean, you feel like when you're at that level, everyone's talented, right? Or has the ability to win. And that's why on that track. But what about, it comes down to that mental side. Is there anything you do to better yourself mentally to prep for, you know, those races, or any mental challenges that might come up from an injury or?
Yeah. So I think just the whole me being injured in 2018, that really hurt me mentally and just kind of made me stronger and making myself believe that I want it more. But also mentally, I think track's a easy sport. A track can humble you real quick. You know what I mean? Track, you can be on top of your game and you can just completely fall off the next year. There's lots of athletes that do that. You know, I think there's more athletes that go from the top to being back down to the middle right away than athletes that can just get to the top and stay on top. So I think it's just knowing that and recognizing that, yes, you can get to the top, but that's almost the easiest part. You know, staying there and always being competitive and just always willing to work is kind of like the harder part, because it's easy just to kind of fall into this trance where you're just kind of just going through the motions day after day and not losing like your hunger, your competitive advantage, or just mentally willingness to go after it. Yeah. You know?
Right. And you talk about hunger, like what really makes you hungry? Like what's the biggest thing right now? What's the biggest motivator right now that you have going on?
I think it's the same thing for all the athletes right now. It's the 2020, it's the Olympic year, and I think that's just the biggest motivation. I missed out in 2016, and that's a bad feeling, you know, and that's, like I said before, I went from being at the top of my game to being an athlete that seemed like he was a shoo-in for an Olympic team, just not even making the Olympic semifinal and just getting cut out right away. So it sucked in that sense, but it just kind of reminds me, like, yes, it's going to hurt and it's gonna be painful and you're going to have to make sacrifices, but at the end, it is worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
What does training look like? Does training look any different going into 2020 versus, you know, the last couple of years of your pro career?
I think I'm trying to do everything the same I did in 2019. I think 2019 was a perfect, not a perfect season for me, but a perfect, like, the way I went about my 2019 season was the best that I've done so far. And if I can do that and just hit B pluses in every single workout, instead of just trying to hit home runs like I used to do and just try to hammer every single thing possible, I think that's going to benefit me more at the end of the day than just trying to hit A pluses for every single race and every single workout, because at the end of the day, it's just more about consistency rather than just trying to get these big leaps and bounds just in, 1 or 2 weeks' time. It's just about really gradual achievements rather than these big leaps and bounds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, really quickly, I know you said you didn't have a perfect year last year, which I think a lot of people would say you had a pretty perfect season. But can you talk about the World Championship race and how that went down and what you were thinking as World Champs?
Yeah, so World Champs was the most nervous I've ever been racing by far. And
so nervous as in like getting to the line and.
That was the least nervous I've been. I was actually the entire week I was in Doha. Okay. Was once I got to start warming up and once I got to do what I know how to do. Yep. And that's warming up and that's racing and put myself in a good position and trying to win. Once I got into that point of the weekend, I was fine. But it's the leading up to it and it's the stuff I don't really know how to cope with well, and that's just staying put and doing nothing. That's the hardest part to do as a runner. You're just getting your jitters in your hotel room, and you just want to do stuff when your coach is telling you no, preserve all your energy. So the entire weekend, I was in that place where I had to just conserve as much energy as possible for these prelims, semis, and hopefully making it to the final, and hopefully trying to bring home a medal.
And the actual race, how did you feel that went down? Like, it wasn't as crazy as the race was.
Yeah, it wasn't as fun, people said, to watch the Doha Championship final for the 8 as it was for the Zurich, but I was fine with it. I was more confident for that leading up to it, but everything worked out perfectly for me. I was on a good streak of 800 wins leading up to it from, I think I won from Rome to USA's to Zurich Diamond League final to my prelim, semi, and final. So I was just trying to keep that streak going of me trying to win these races against these pretty competitive guys. Like, these aren't like scrub wins. So I went into my prelim, got first, and just tried to recover as best as possible. Went into my semi, got first. A little tired, a little harder. Things are, you're starting to progress, and you're starting to think mentally. The big dance is about to happen. It's about to go down. So we come up with this plan in the final. We have Wesley Vasquez from Puerto Rico. He's more of a 4'8" guy. And we know he's a guy that likes to take it out really fast. And he's a guy that, he's just going to hammer it from the gun. Yeah. So the race plan at this point is stick on Wesley. And I think everybody kind of wanted that race plan. But I was like, I'm gonna stick with that race plan. Like, Wesley's a big guy, but I'm a big guy too. Like, I can body 800-meter runners out. Wesley's the only guy I might have trouble with doing that, but he'll take the lead for me, and I can kind of draft off him. And the plan was, no matter what the pace was, from 48 to 55, I was supposed to be in that second position. And I said, yes, sir, coach. I'm going to do what you said. I'm going to listen to you, because if it works, all praise to you. But if it doesn't work, that's your fault too. So he's willing to take the blame either way. And that's what I love about P. Julian.
That's great.
But he said, sit on that second position. So gun goes off. I get in that second position. And that's when I start getting confident. I start getting in my stride. I start realizing that I've did everything up to that point that I possibly can in the race. And we hit 48 at the bell. He hits 48. I hit 49, sorry. And I think with about 300 meters left, I was like, I'm feeling good, and you're not going to feel good too many times as an 800-meter runner. I have to go. And that's exactly what Pete told me to do. He's like, with 300 meters left, you got that home stretch, you got to go. And there was a lot of thinking behind that, because if I went then, I wouldn't have to turn with Wesley. Wesley's a big guy, and just kind of saving ground and all these other things that he thought of that I didn't. And with 300 meters to go, I just took off, and I just didn't look back. There wasn't a screen like that I could see on the home stretch to see if anybody was coming up on me. So I just had to just bring it home as best as I can. I was just thinking, shoulders down, drive my knees, and just trying to bring it home. And I could care less about the time, but then when I saw the time, I was even happier.
Yeah, I remember watching that here, and we were just like, when I saw you take it from 300 out, I was like, wow, that's really aggressive. But I didn't have a doubt.
A lot of people were nervous about it, to be fair. And it wasn't the best. Maybe I could have saved it to 250, but I think.
Yeah, but I love that. I love the how aggressive that move was. It's like, that's so. In track and field, you don't see.
Yeah, it also shows what you got left to yourself, right?
It's like watching a slam dunk.
But it wasn't as fun though as the Zurich one. Right. That's what people were saying. So I apologize for that.
For those that are listening, is running 800 sometimes a strategy based on, pace? And do you guys go up or go out as a group pacing, knowing that you're gonna run a certain pace, and then just the last lap, it's all for. Up for grabs? Is that how it works?
Yeah, it just depends, and that's why I never give out my strategy for a race or what I'm going to do. I never give any hints or any tells about what I'm going to do leading up to a race. But for me, is
every race different?
Every race is totally different. Yeah. So I think what I've kind of done this past year in 2019 is I'm just trying to focus on winning, not necessarily a time. And I think I'm building my strength up a little bit better. So when the time's 55 and I can come back in a 50, like I did in USA's, I can win from that perspective, and also when the race goes out fast like it did in Doha.
Got it. Awesome. So you get to travel to all these cities, obviously a lot more than you did in college. What's been your favorite place?
My favorite place has been Tokyo, I think.
Really?
Yeah. So that was my first time in Asia, actually. We went to Tokyo for the World Relays. We did it 2x2 by 400 meters, which is pretty much a mix. And it was a mix, too, to make things even more complicated. It's pretty much a 4x4 with two people. Yeah. So it was Sierra Braun and myself, and she runs the 400 meters, hands it off to me. She gets however long it takes for me to run 400 meters rest. I hand it back to her. She runs her 400 meters, and then she hands it back to me. So pretty much a co-ed, two-person 4x4. So, yeah, I think Tokyo was my favorite place. And I think I'm also really biased, but Doha's probably my second favorite place, if not tied with my favorite place.
How about the actual track? I feel like the actual track might mean something to you guys.
I think...
Favorite track?
I'd say Zurich.
Zurich
is my favorite track. There's a lot of history on the Zurich track, because that's where Johnny Gray broke the American record, was in Zurich. And, I think that has the most history behind it. There's been a lot of big events there. The Diamond League, I think, is going to be there for the next 2 years or so.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot more, stuff going down in Zurich's track. So I think that's my favorite. And the stadium itself is really beautiful. And I think Hayward's kind of trying to copy that somewhat on America's soil, but we'll see how that turns out.
So
One second. I got to pause this for a second. Did you put SD card in there?
Michelle said she did.
Did she? Sorry, Eric. Eric's our editor.
Yeah, it's in there.
Oh, good. God, thank you. Okay.
Otherwise, I don't think it'd record.
Okay, good. Okay, cut that part and go on. Sorry, go with your question. I was freaked out for a second. I was like, we better be recording this audio.
How long were you thinking about that?
I was like, God. I was like, oh, shit.
Donovan's going to hate us. What was my next question?
Oh, we're talking about tracks.
Yeah, so favorite track, zero. So next big milestone, Jesse Owens Award. You just got presented that. October? Was that October?
Yep, that was October.
And so for you listening, I believe that's the highest accolade you can get in your sport.
For USA Track and Field.
For USA Track and Field, yeah. What did that award mean to you?
It meant a lot. That whole month after winning World Championships, you don't get to take time off as a hand rated runner because you always have something to look forward to or something you got to achieve. But I was like, I'm going to take my victory lap. I'm going to enjoy this next month. I took a bachelor party with Clayton in Miami and just took a few trips, and I was just really trying to enjoy what I was doing. And I got nominated for World Athlete out in Monaco. So I was taking trips and just enjoying what I did the year before. So that was the first time I've been able to do that. But when I got I think I got just an email from USA Track and Field saying that I was a Jesse Owens Award recipient. I was, it was a huge honor. Yeah. I didn't even know I was up for grabs for it. So when I achieved it, I didn't really know what to say, and I'm just kind of how I was now is how I was when I received the award, because I had to go up there and I had to give a speech, and I'm terrible at public speaking, and it was hundreds of athletes there. And first off, so I was at a USA convention in Reno, Nevada, and I go there and I'm thinking like, oh, I won this awesome award, like I'm happy, and I'm humble at the same time because I'm around so many great other athletes that are there. There's Hall of Famers being inducted. There's like a thing Mu, the newcomer of the year, and I'm looking at, and Dalilah Muhammad, of course, won Female Athlete of the Year, and I go to this event, and I just realized that, like, I'm not shit compared to all these guys that are up there. Like, this Hall of Famers being inducted, and just so many great athletes that came before me. And I was, like, the only distance guy, somewhat distance guy. I'll claim distance for that event. But I was only the one and only somewhat distance guy that was on the stage the entire night, which kind of shows you the strength that America's had in just sprinting, not really the distance category. Yeah, and I think we're kind of finally making that transition, with guys like Bernard Lagat and Leo Manzano and Matthew Centrowitz winning titles and just getting medals and stuff like that, and trying to be a country that can proclaim itself as a good distance country,
So you had to get up there and speak when you got that award?
Yeah.
Did you know that you had to do that?
I did know I had to do that, and I think that's what made me more nervous, actually, because if I'm on the fly, then I think it's fine. But no, actually, so I knew I had to give a speech, and Dalilah had to give a speech for Female Athlete of the Year, and she was like, I'm not writing a speech. Are you writing a speech? I was like, no, if she's not writing a speech, I'm not going to write a speech either.
Yeah.
And I get up there. I didn't write a speech. I wing it. It was terrible. People laughed. It was awful. It was awkward. I was sweating. Like, it was bad. And then Dalilah gets up there, and she pulls out a note out of her back pocket. And I was so mad. And I was like, you told me. Yeah, I was like, you told me you weren't going to write a speech. Like, she played me, but I was upset about that.
People remember yours now, though.
Yeah, for the wrong reason. But
that's all right.
Yeah,
we all have our strengths.
We have a strength. I'm a runner. I'm not a speaker.
Yeah. And I told him that too. I was like, I'm not too good at public speaking. I introduced myself as if my name wasn't behind me in a big, projected. But it was terrible.
You're gonna get used to that, interviews and podcasts and social media.
This is fine.
Talk to us about social media. So where can they find you on social media?
They can find me at Donavan Brazier. Just everything.
Instagram?
Donavan Brazier. Yes.
Oh, okay. Twitter,
Donavan Brazier. Facebook, Donavan Brazier. If you want to be real personal. But
and you're not the most active on there, right?
I'm not. I don't think I'm interested enough to post.
Talk about that. So your age group. I mean, that's really the group that loves social media. Mm-hmm. Tell me why you don't. I mean, you don't have to love it, but why you're not active on it. I'm always curious.
I don't know. I just kind of forget about it half the time, because if you're really experiencing something like really cool, your first instinct isn't to take an Instagram, or at least that's my thoughts. But I'm not an interested person. I'm pretty boring. I really don't do too many things that intrigue a lot of people. So I'm not going to bore my 30K followers with my boring life. So
I think they want to be bored away.
They'd rather be bored.
I was going to say, believe it or not, they want to know how boring your life is.
I'm scrolling through Instagram sometimes, and I'll see people's stories, and you just click through the story, because you don't care. No one cares what you're doing, realistically. So I don't want to be just another click on an Instagram story.
Oh, you're not just.
That should be your
I've posted on my story before, and I've gotten some very unflattering numbers for people that just skip your stories. So
you can't look at that. That's going to happen all the time.
Put that in your bio. I don't want to be a click-through story.
I don't want to be a click-through. I don't want to be a click-through story.
So speaking of things that are very interesting, to me anyway, because I grew up in South Dakota and with fishing and hunting and all that stuff. So tell us about like that side of your life, and kind of like how you go fishing, you do all those things. Like is that just for like mental clarity, or you just enjoy it?
I just enjoyed it, and I think running's taken a little bit away from that for me, for the fishing and hunting, because growing up, my dad's the one that my dad and grandpa taught me how to fish and to hunt, or my dad taught me to hunt, but I it wasn't really like I thought I was doing anything interesting. It wasn't until I reached high school and college, people were like, "Oh, you hunt? Are you fish?" Like I was like, "Yeah, doesn't everybody do that? Like, how do you eat?" Like, not that I only eat what I hunt or kill, but they just thought that was the most like intriguing thing to hunt. But no, I always did it because I always liked it, you know. And my dad did it. It's kind of just you kind of do what you're fallen in to do. And I've always enjoyed fishing. I like the inland lake fish in Michigan, and I've always liked bow hunting, white-tailed deer in Michigan. I'm not a big gun hunter actually. I'm really big into bow hunting, and so I've spent a lot of winters away from Michigan. This past winter, actually, I've been fortunate enough to go back and do more hunting than I had before. I did pheasant hunting for the first time, actually. Oh, yeah. So that was a lot of fun. But, no, I'm trying to get more into that and trying to tie that into track and field more. Because you're right, it does kind of build clarity and it does kind of give me a break from track and field more so.
Did you pheasant hunt in Michigan?
Yeah, so there was actually my cousin has a lot of land out there in Michigan, and we have like 10 acres next to a pheasant farm. Yeah. So like we don't go to the pheasant farm to hunt, but the pheasants will like sometimes fly over. Yeah. And it's free game at that point. You can do it. They're pheasants, but they're on our property. Yeah. So that's kind of my pheasant experience so far. I've only killed 3 so far, so I'm not a avid pheasant hunter, but a lot of fun.
They're good. What do you think of the taste?
It's like a duck kind of more. Like I don't know.
I enjoy the taste
really?
of pheasant. Yeah.
I've loved duck hunting actually. I've really gotten into that. My stepdad got me into duck hunting a lot.
Did it?
So I've been trying to do that, and I just got a Benelli, new Benelli 12 gauge. So. Been breaking that in. Oh. And I'm trying to get a Benelli sponsorship if Benelli Italian Guns is listening.
We'll plug them.
You got to plug them in.
Hey, you got to start doing is tagging them in your Instagram.
Yeah,
be like Benelli shotgun. They'll be like, why do you want a shotgun?
You have to show them that you're doing it.
Yeah, right?
What about bow? You want to plug for that? What bow do you use?
I like Matthews bow. Oh. Yeah. I already have a really nice Matthews.
What about reels?
I like ugly stick rods. I use those for channel catfishing. So Shakespeare Ugly Fish Rods. It's actually a company out of Kalamazoo that started Shakespeare, I believe, is out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. Okay. But I like the ugly stick rods just for like the channel catfishing I do out there in Michigan.
What's your take on fishing? Do you think it's luck or is it strategy?
It's trying to build your luck as much as possible. So there's luck that goes into it, but it's about building as much luck as you can. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, anybody can catch a fish, but I might catch 5 compared to you catching 2 in the same amount of time. Right. You know. Yeah. But
why is that? Because it comes down to like lures and like where you actually.
Yeah, and it comes down to just your I guess your zen, how your energy's feeling that day. But yes. I went ice fishing back in Michigan this past winter, and I see guys catching like 20 bluegills, and I'm not catching anything. I'm be like, okay, what are you guys using? Like, how do I upgrade my luck? And they lie because I don't want you to catch the fish either. But that's what I think that's what it comes down to is just kind of luck, but building your luck as much as possible.
I thought it was luck or.
Do you think it's hungry? Luck or no?
I don't know. It's like, are they hungry? Or
do you catch them or no?
I haven't fished for a very long time, but I remember having teammates. They loved fishing. And we always just joke with them, like, how do you become a professional fisherman? Because, you know when they're hungry, maybe? Or you just.
I think it's just your knowledge for the sport. And I would consider fishing a sport.
It is.
Especially down in Florida and stuff like that. That's what I'd love to get into, actually. But
people have mad sponsorships.
They do.
Oh, they make good money. Yeah. You know, I think that'd be nice to do after running, but. We'll see.
So you still have dreams for being a football player?
Yeah,
Let's hear about that.
Okay, so and
I know you want to talk about it.
No, I want to talk about it, but I know everybody's gonna laugh. And it's like you can't be a football player. 150 pounds. It's like I'm 160 actually, but I was running indoors last year, and this is just a story tied into it. Is I was running, and Vashti Cunningham, she's a high jumper. Well, her dad's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Randall Cunningham played for the Eagles. But what does he know? And he was like, my coach asked him, because I always told my coach, I was like, I'm only going to do this I'll do it another 2 years till Eugene, 2021, because it was 2019 at the time. And my coach asked Randall Cunningham, he's like, Donavan wants to be a wide receiver. Like, what do you think about that? Like, laughing about it, like, joking. And Randall, word for word, I'm going to quote him. He's like, actually, I didn't hear what he said, so I can't word for word quote him. But he said, I think Donavan could be an NFL wide receiver. Wow. He'd have to lose a couple screws in his head, which, not that hard. But he thinks I could be an NFL wide receiver. Awesome. And I'd like for him to train me, and I'd like for him to coach me. He doesn't know all that, but that gave me hope.
Did you have a favorite team growing up?
Unfortunately, it was the Detroit Lions.
Favorite player?
Calvin Johnson.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
There's the tie-in.
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
Tie-in.
Wide receiver Calvin Johnson.
So you're out here in Arizona training, down from Oregon, right? Mm-hmm. How long are you here for?
Till March. So, yeah.
Did you just come down here for the nice weather?
To get out of Portland. It's literally just to get out of Portland. Yeah. But I like Phoenix a lot.
Will we see you in indoors?
Yes. So I'll be racing Boston New Balance games a week from now. And then I'll be racing the Melrose games. And then seeing how things go from there, I might race USA Indoors.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's great. I have one more question.
Oh, what's your favorite Xendurance product and kind of why?
Ooh. I feel like I should say Xendurance, but I don't think it's Xendurance.
The Extreme Endurance?
Yeah, it's not the Extreme. Okay, that's the correct name for it, right? Is it Extreme Endurance?
Yeah.
I think I'd say the vanilla protein. But it might be switching over to the chocolate protein if I have almond milk, so it kind of depends on the day.
Right on.
But I like vanilla protein because I can literally just take a whole scoop of that and put it straight in my mouth. You know what I mean? It's like a dessert. I'll take it in the morning, I'll take it at night. But if I have like a sweet or like a craving for something sweet, I'll take the vanilla protein with some almond milk.
That is really good protein.
Yeah, so that's some good stuff. And the cookie dough stuff that you mentioned is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Oh, did you try it?
Yeah, I tried it. Very good. I tried everything you gave me yesterday.
Well, I mean, if you tried a plant protein, you'd really appreciate that one because most plant proteins just don't taste good.
Is that how do I pronounce that? Collagen?
Oh, that one's collagen and greens.
Collagen.
The one you probably tasted, the cookie dough, is going to be our plant protein.
Yeah. So I opened it up and it was green. So but I tried it and it's really good.
We're gonna dial in your diet.
Yeah, it's good. Very good. I think that's my favorite product though, is vanilla protein.
Awesome.
Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, no, I think that was really good. Appreciate that.
Well, Donovan, thank you for joining us today. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you guys for having me.
We cannot wait to see your journey in 2020. We hope the best for you, and we're watching every race. So thanks again.
Cool. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Donovan.